This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Welcome to the Front Porch, real conversations about life, leadership, and perseverance. Each week, Dennis Polian and Jay Davis bring you inspiring stories and lessons to help you grow, lead, and thrive. Pull up a chair. The conversation starts now.
Welcome to the very first episode of the Front Porch. I'm Dennis. This is Jay. We're two close friends who share similar backgrounds in sports and business. And we've spent a lot of time, a lot of hours just talking about absolutely nothing. Talking about all the things we go through in our business transition in life, what's helped us, what's hurt us. And we had a Seinfeld moment where we just looked at each other and thought, maybe we have something here. And we decided to have this conversation to hopefully make some people laugh, help some people in their journey in business, in life, and parenthood, all that good stuff. So on these first couple episodes, we thought it'd be great for you to get to know us. So today I'm introducing to you Jay Davis, a good friend of mine, partner in this endeavor here, who's been a mentor for me in my business transition. And I think you're going to learn a lot from him. So Jay, thanks for partnering with me on this.
Hello.
It's gold, Jerry.
It's gold, Jerry. So a couple of middle-aged fellas here that enjoy Seinfeld, some good rom-coms, and have really been fortunate to have the experience, of being around high-level performers. So the opportunity we've had, the experience we've had, kind of being able to not really just look through the window, but be able to walk in the front porch with some very successful people. We've been very fortunate in our lives so far, and we want to share those experiences with you. We want to hopefully inspire you. And one kind of disclaimer I want to put out there is, through these experiences, I won't speak for Dennis on this, but I'm not perfect, and I made a lot of mistakes in my life. But as a good friend of mine says all the time, when I have a tendency to mess up, is you're a survivor, you figure it out, and that's what this podcast is all about.
That is such a better introduction than what I just did. So I appreciate that. What Jay won't tell you, because he's one of the most humble people I've met, is that he is the top 1% in what he did. 2-time state amateur champion in Illinois in golf. Was it 91, 92? Or 90,
43, 44.
Well,
the text message you sent me the other day was 43, 44, which is a shout out to the boys in Chicago. Is that they always, when I tell them golf stories, they always say I was back in the Gene Sarazen era. But no, 91, 92, only one of 7 to win back-to-back state amateur championships in golf in Illinois. But 91, 92.
Yeah, which is obviously extremely difficult. Louisville stand out on the golf team there, and then went on to a career in pro golf. Didn't make the big tour, but
I was not the top 1% of the 1%.
But the top 1% of anybody that tries that, which
very
is
fortunate,
extremely impressive.
Yep.
What kind of put you in that direction? When did that passion start?
So I kind of grew up in a golf family. My grandfather was a good player. Probably he talked a better game than he really was. I had 2 uncles, my Uncle Chris, Uncle Bob, were really good players, and then they got in the club pro business. They were pros at private clubs in the area, and then up in Chicago, and then my dad was a good player until he had some back surgery. But it was kind of in the family. I remember I think it was 6 years old. I got my first club. And I was thinking about this when we were getting ready for this. Is that I did a lot of junior golf development before I moved to Texas, and I think about the equipment, and the access to technology that kids have today, and and I had till I was almost 13, I had ladies Burke woods that had a royal blue insert in them, which kids today would just absolutely roast you on that. But I thought it was the greatest thing ever that I actually had a full set of clubs. So, and they had pretty blue inserts and laminated heads. So yeah, um, I've been fortunate and with this podcast, I'm just looking forward to sharing our experiences to be able to help everybody out there I mean, this is all about grit, grind, and perseverance, and certainly we've had people that have helped us along the way. But there's a personal journey within that
Mhm.
that that needs to be told, or I should say, needs to be shared with people to know that every roadblock is an opportunity.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's a great transition because you went from Corn Ferry Nike Tour, trying to make it on the tour, playing across, really across the world as a pro, and then transition to being a pro at clubs,
Hmm.
then transition to at the same time coaching, and then eventually moving into entrepreneurship and opening a business, which is what brought us together. How 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 much did the grind of really playing against yourself every day on the course, but also versus other people to try to make it, how much did that experience shape you in your approach to those transitions you made?
Yeah, I thought that's a good question. I thought, I've always kind of quasi been in the people business. And I was recruited for 5 years before I made the jump into the insurance business. Golf business was kind of in a bit of a quandary in terms of it was a little bit oversaturated due to Tiger Woods and the acceleration there in the industry. And I finally made the jump based on a really a personal story uh, to get in the business to help people. And I thought it was going to be easy. Uh, I've really been in the people business most of my life. Even playing golf for a living, where you're kind of solo, kind of your own world. I was raised the right way, and that it was kind of my mission. Every tour event Corn Ferry Nike tour event that I went to, that I was very appreciative of everybody that was involved in the tournament, whether it was the locker room guy to the volunteers on the golf course. At every fairway I walked down, I made sure to thank everybody, every starters in the morning, afternoon when we teed off, to the pro-ams that I played every week. So I was always used to talking to people. At a young age, I was always at the table, the kitchen table on Sunday mornings after mass with adults and having those conversations. And I got transitioned to insurance, and I thought this is going to be easy. um, in a way, I was a small business owner when I played golf for a living. Um, took care of my own travel, took care of my own accommodations, took care of basically everything. Um, and then I get into the insurance business and thought, this is pretty easy, until I realized it was really hard. um, and it's kind of interesting, being kind of on your own island out there, playing golf for a living, and you got to put a score on the board to make money. And, and I know we'll get into this later with a future guest, but it's hard to detach yourself from the fact that um, the score that everybody can see uh, in the world is not really who you are. And that was a big struggle. But anyway, so to really get back to your question is, the insurance business, I thought it was going to be easy, and it was really hard. It's hard being a small business owner. Um, there's a lot of things people don't tell you. There's a lot of things people don't teach you. Um, and again, you're an entrepreneur, you're an independent contractor. It's part of your responsibility to figure that out. But you need good people to navigate that hard space, so to speak. So yeah, it's it's been great. Insurance is not sexy, but it's and we deal with clients every day. It's a necessary evil. And people that don't like insurance, you know, um, insurance really is there. Well, we talk about this, protect you. We'd rather have you have a bad day than a bad life. But if you don't think insurance is valuable, um, then you'd have to pay cash for everything. And what we do today, and what we've transitioned into our kind of second life, second career, is to help people make the right decisions for their individual situations.
That's a great way to put it. It's and you also mentioned, right, that score you put up, trying to detach yourself from it. In the competitive world, it's very easy to get caught up in that in the sports world, right? We all get caught up in what I would call the struggle to for yourself to believe that score or that win or that loss is
Or that
not
individual
is
play,
not you.
doesn't define you, and it's a hard thing, and it when and with your background, I mean, when you're rolling, it's the easiest thing in the world, and when you're not, it's really hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's you're playing well, you're doing the right things, and you're missing cuts by a shot. Um, it's kind of a funny, in all my experience, and now I'm a little older, so most of my contemporaries are on the senior tour, but I still stay in touch with the game. I've got a lot of good buddies that are caddies now, but you always hear, and I may have a propensity to gamble on golf every once in a while.
Propensity?
Yeah, that's a good word, right? You hear guys and gals. I'm attached to golf in general, and you hear these stories of guys and gals that missed 4 or 5 cuts in a row, but they knew it was coming, right? And that's a belief part of it. It's a perseverance part of it. But when you play this crazy game for a living, and it's a lot like life too, you feel like you've got all the right processes and systems in place, and nothing's happening, right? But you can't surrender the process, right?
Mm-hmm.
And stay in the course. And then, somebody will call me, text me and say, that's crazy. This guy won and he's missed the last 7 cuts in a row. That's even a cooler story to me than, the Scotty Schefflers and the Roy McIlroys that dominate, because we talk about the 1% and then the top 1%, they're the top 1% of the 1% of the 1%. But for us journeymen out there, the constant grind and the belief that that you're doing the right things, and you have to continue to believe in that and believe in yourself, and not get attached to the number on the board, to know that when you pop, it pops, and it's I mean, it's all things sports, but golf's kind of unique. I put tennis in there a little bit too, because you're kind of on an island out there.
Mm-hmm.
and you're your only coach at that time, and you have to figure it out, and if you want to be successful. And yeah, so that's cool. When I these fields that they've shrunk down to the signature events, I don't believe in that. I know what it's about. Live has created that, but um, not having full fields and giving guys and gals an opportunity to have a chance, because at that level everybody has a chance to win. And so yeah, so I don't know if I really answered your question, but insurance is hard, and what we do is fantastic. You know, um, that piece of paper that we provide is only as good as it is at claim time, and that's really what we're trying to do. And so again, I transitioned to this career thinking it was a people business. I realized it was a people business, but it's hard, and I've used a lot of things from my 22 years in the golf business to kind of help me be better in the insurance industry. But it's you can lay out I think the thing that frustrates me the most with what we do to help people is that we can provide the best plan in the world, and they don't say
Yeah.
yes.
No, and that's a great point. We're going to take a quick break right now, but there were a couple of things in that meandering answer that I want to follow up on.
Meandering. That's my guy right there.
We'll be right back.
Life moves fast, but the unexpected doesn't care about your calendar. At the Polian Agency, we help successful families protect what they've worked so hard to build. From life insurance to smart coverage strategies, we tailor protection that grows with you, so you're prepared for whatever's next. The Polian Agency, where protection meets purpose. Visit PolianAgency.com or call 254-772-1444 to start the conversation.
Welcome back to the porch. We were just talking to Jay about the experience as a professional golfer, really, and not tying your identity and your success and your failure, or to your success and your failure. And you made a great point about, it's up to you to earn your success. It's up to you to learn the best way to do things, but you have to have good people in your corner and around you to support you in that. And that immediately made me think of the caddy player relationship, and whether or not, because I don't know, is that helpful in any way, emotionally, mentally, through not making a cut, not making consecutive cuts? Because what we don't talk about, right, is you bring up McIlroy and Scheffler. Everybody talks about how dominant they are, but there were plenty of times when nobody was paying attention to them when they were struggling, because we don't pay attention to the people that are struggling. So as business owners, professionals, people who are not in that competitive world, it's all out there for the taking, but can you really do it by yourself? What did you draw on when you got started and rolling in your business and trying to build something from the ground up in those experiences? Did you have people in your corner? Because, right, we all have people in our ear that are saying, what are you doing?
Right.
You had a great career. Why are you making this transition into insurance? Are you nuts?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think about my transition to kind of my second career, insurance industry. I was kind of at a crossroads a little bit. I was a little bit fed up with the golf business. It had changed a lot. As I said earlier, it was very saturated. A lot of a big part of the industry wasn't valuing, and I hate to say it this way, but they weren't valuing real professionals. And because the industry was oversaturated at that point, they just thought, and I'm probably going to bother some people when they listen to this podcast, but I came from old school high service. Uh, I came from uh, clubs, golf courses, because I worked at everything. I worked at a muni. I worked at private clubs, exclusive private clubs um, that they lost. I shouldn't say they lost, but they they didn't appreciate a real pro, meaning could communicate, was professional, was service oriented, but knew the game. Knew the business, knew the game, knew how to teach it, knew how to play it. Um, we used to have a term for the people they were hiring called internet pros. I mean, they sat in their office and they knew how to do P&Ls, and they knew how to do spreadsheets, but they hid in their office, and they expected their staff to handle the load. It's now transitioning the other way, and then everything I learned there, I brought to um, my second career in insurance, and um, I think, and you're the same way, knowing your agency. I mean, we value people, and we value everybody's different, and everybody has a different set of circumstances, and it's our responsibility to them to provide the proper protection for their individual situation. Um, we're not big box agency owners, former agency owner, but um, really, our purpose every day is to help people and give them peace of mind. And it's all, it's the way I was raised. It's the way I learned. It's the mentors I had. It's the people around me, the support system. You talk about caddies, um, I think about all the caddies I had in my life. When I was younger, my dad was my caddy, and my shout out to Stan Brion. Was like a second father to me. He wasn't my golf instructor. He was my golf coach at 20 plus years, and he was like a second dad to me. And he used to get on my dad about not being tough enough when my dad was under the strap, and pushed me a little bit. And then, when I got to the Nike Tour, Corn Ferry Tour now, I had Mike Smalls caddy that he took to the tour, and Carol B. West. Carol taught me a lot, at my second year on the Corn Ferry Tour, Carol bumped down from Mike's bag on the tour to my bag, and it was, and this all comes back to business and mentors and everything. I mean, Carol told me 2 weeks on the bag with me that I needed to play practice rounds with Sean Murphy. At the time, Sean Murphy was had won the most events on the Nike Tour, Corn Ferry Tour at the time. And I didn't know Sean, and I approached him, and for 7 weeks, every Tuesday morning at 7:00, I played practice rounds with Sean Murphy. And in 7 weeks, he probably said 7 words to me. But I was always early to the tee waiting on him. And, the last half of the year, I had a chance to win, going to the back nine on Sunday. I had a chance to win 6 times the back half of the year just by watching Sean and how he prepares and all that good stuff. And that really was, if Carol wasn't, not necessarily doing his job, but caring about me and what we were trying to accomplish, I wouldn't have been in those positions. So yeah, mentors, if it's life, business, sports, whatever it is, you have to have people that, push you is kind of a generic way to say it, but be aware, I guess, of what you can do that you don't think you can do, and give you a little boot in the ass sometimes, you know. Sorry.
We want that one will be okay.
All right.
When you got out on your own and started your business, did you find yourself using that same level of preparation and focus, or did you find yourself being allowed to kind of back off of that because of the environment around you? And did it make it any easier or harder for you to get going?
So I had, when I got recruited, when I finally said yes to the recruitment process in the insurance industry, the gentleman that recruited me, Rick Pettit, I thought I was going to go in his district. Some things changed in terms of allocation for agents. I ended up in a different district. And my district manager was great guy. Probably could have been, well, I know he was offered CEO of the company. But you know, he was, it turns out it was his last year in the business, then he retired. So when I got in the insurance business, I had 3 different district managers in 3 years. So, you know, back to your football background, you know, I had 3 different offensive coordinators, you know, for my first 3 years. But I had one gentleman, had a golf background. We didn't know each other, but we kind of knew each other because we kind of grew up in different towns that were close by. But Brian Holmes, who I'll make sure he tunes into the Front Porch. Brian Holmes was an agent for about 7-8 years before I joined Country Financial, and he was actually in the office that I officed in when I started, and he was really kind of my mentor and kind of my quasi district manager. And we had similar interests, similar values, and if it wasn't for Brian, you know, and a couple other things that I did, I wouldn't have made it in the business.
Mm-hmm.
So so you know, we talk about caddies, but in the insurance side of my business life, you know, Brian Holmes was my caddy in the insurance business and helped me along the way. So yeah,
That's so I get pretty passionate about it. That's why I had to pause, because sometimes it pisses me off when somebody tries to be your mentor, but they have an agenda and it's for their gain.
yeah,
And it can kind of contradict your value system or what you believe or your why you made such a big change and how you want to help people. You know, so I think it's important for anybody listening to understand you got to have that person, and you got to have that person who aligns with you from a value standpoint, so that you know it's coming from the right place, coming from a way that's going to make you last.
right. And there's one point to that which is very important, is you have to have self-awareness, and you have to have the self-awareness not to compromise yourself or your values or your beliefs. Is that as you and I have discussed, is you can't get sucked in to that world, because then you start being somebody that you're not.
Yep.
And then that's when stuff spirals to a dark place. You know, cliches, whatever, being true to yourself, but you know, what we're doing here today, and hopefully for a long time, is trying to lend a voice to people to know that the skills that they have and the things they have to offer to whatever industry they're in it's kind of a cliche, but being true to yourself and being comfortable with yourself. It's hard. I've never been comfortable with myself in a lot of situations. I always had to be something that I wasn't. And that's where I failed. Not so much professionally, but personally. And you know, it's, life's hard. And then, you become a small business owner and
Life gets harder.
and shit gets real.
It's real in the third grade, as I tell my son.
Yeah.
That's an even better point is staying true to yourself, because as I'm sure we'll talk about other times, as I've told you, and when I got started about a year ago, that was the biggest mistake I made. I did get sucked into the environment I was in, and I got away from who I was and got distracted by things that had no application to my business.
And not to interrupt you, but thought pops in my head that back to golf is I've been around some tremendous players that actually I missed the tour by 3 shots at finals of tour school back excuse me, back in the day. Is my buddies that made it were warming up and practicing next to the best players in the world. And they thought they had to be perfect. And that's really what derailed them is, so-and-so's doing this and so-and-so's doing that. And it's, it's easier said than done. We can sit here and preach to our audience or people. And it's hard to do, I didn't actually make it there, but I made it to a PGA Tour run tour, and I was playing with guys that won on tour and had to come back down. And there's a certain reverence. Kids today don't care because they see their idols every day on social media, and so it's not a big deal to them when they get there. Not to date myself, but we didn't have access to that. So
did you even have flip phones?
Easy, cowboy. Easy. All right. I had a bag phone when I started on the Canadian tour in 1993 that my parents probably took out a second loan to make sure I had a bag phone in my Toyota Celica as I was, cruising from the West Coast to the East Coast in Canada, playing the Canadian
like
tour.
Zach from Saved by the Bell.
Yeah. Don't get into some of my TV crushes back in the day. Saved by the Bell had some hotties there.
Oh, that's fantastic. I think we need to leave that content for the future. Thank you.
That's the after dark front porch.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the back porch.
The back porch. Yeah. Well, appreciate you opening up a little. Gonna do a quick lightning round, and then we'll save the rest for so we can actually have some more episodes.
Yeah. That was a tease in the business.
Favorite sports moment?
I knew we were starting this podcast, and I was thinking about a lot of things.
No, this is the lightning round. You can't think. You just gotta say.
So I'll try to be quick. Lightning round. Tour school, PGA Tour qualifying school used to be first stage, second stage, finals. 72 holes. And then 6 times 18 is what? 108 holes or something. Second stage in the business is the hardest stage you get through, because if you get to finals, you've got something. You've got a Corn Ferry Tour card. You've got a PGA Tour card. And, I won a couple state AMs, had a lot of success in college. But the one moment that I was thinking about, almost teared up this morning. I played really well at second stage, and I was on the putting green, which was about a 50-yard walk from the scoreboard. And the first time I made it to finals, I was kind of on the cut line, and my dad was watching the scoreboard, and he always caddied for me at tour school. And I was on the putting green. I just couldn't stand to watch the scoreboard and the scores coming in and where I was going to fall. And when my dad knew that we made it to finals the first time, he started walking down this cart path to the putting green, which again was like 50 yards from the scoreboard scoring area. And, I was thinking about this morning, almost got choked up a little bit, and probably will a little bit. When my dad started walking and he looked at me, and we kind of from 30 yards away, that was pretty cool. is pretty cool, because that's to get to finals through the grind that it used to be, and to know you were PGA Tour affiliated in some way, and to know where I came from and what I did to get there. It was awesome.
That is awesome. I had about 15 other questions, and I'm not going to ask them because I don't want to ruin that moment. That's awesome, because that's achieving something you work so hard for that very few others do. That's pretty amazing, and I appreciate you letting us get to know you. I hope everybody watching and listening enjoyed getting to know my partner Jay Davis a little bit. And until next time, we'll see you back on the Front Porch.
Thank you for joining us on the Front Porch. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow, share, and leave a review so more people can join the conversation. Until next time, keep showing up, keep leading strong, and we'll see you back on the porch soon.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.